Ukraine's energy crisis, exacerbated by the destruction of one-third of its infrastructure, is a focal point as winter approaches. The human toll is staggering, with 77% of the population experiencing the loss of loved ones. The world watches as Ukraine confronts its darkest hour. Bombed-out buildings and deserted streets paint a grim picture of the conflict's toll. The Ukrainian people, known for their resilience, now face a crossroads. Their nation, once vibrant and full of promise, is locked in a struggle for survival. The weight of this fight is etched on the faces of its citizens, their hopes for a swift resolution fading with each passing day. What are the most immediate challenges Ukraine faces as winter approaches? Global oil crisis looms as conflicts escalate. Peace in the Middle East, is it possible? A nation at the brink. Vertical bar. Global tensions and hard decisions. In this compelling video, we delve into Ukraine's most critical hour. Join us as we explore the far-reaching implications of the ongoing conflict, the political and humanitarian crises at play, and the global ripple effects. A must-watch for anyone seeking to understand the future of global stability. The world is watching as Ukraine stands at a critical juncture. Join the conversation, stay informed, and raise awareness of the humanitarian crisis unfolding in both Ukraine and the Middle East. Share this article, discuss its implications, and support diplomatic efforts for peace and stability. The future depends on our actions today. Let's shape it for the better. Within Ukraine's government, a different battle rages, a political tug-of-war between those who advocate for continued resistance and those who see negotiation as the only viable option. President Zelensky finds himself precariously balanced between these opposing factions. The Hawks, emboldened by wartime gains, see any talk of compromise as a betrayal. On the other hand, the Doves recognize the urgent need for a resolution to end the suffering of their people. Adding fuel to the fire are external pressures, particularly from NATO and the West. Ukraine's hopes of joining these alliances, once a beacon of hope, have been dashed against the rocks of geopolitical reality. This unfulfilled promise has left Ukraine feeling abandoned, questioning the reliability of international support in times of dire need. The lack of concrete security guarantees further complicates the situation, making any potential peace talks fraught with risk. The fear is palpable. Any misstep, any concession made without ironclad guarantees could be perceived as weakness, potentially igniting internal unrest and further destabilizing the nation. The situation is a powder keg, and the world watches with bated breath, hoping for a peaceful resolution while bracing for the possibility of further escalation. While the world's attention remains fixed on Ukraine, another conflict simmers in the Middle East, threatening to boil over. Iran's recent counterattacks against Israel have sent shockwaves through the region, shattering any illusions of stability. The precision strikes, aimed at the very heart of Israel's defense apparatus, have exposed vulnerabilities, raising questions about the effectiveness of the once impenetrable Iron Dome defense system. These events have sent ripples through the global oil market, injecting a new layer of uncertainty into an already volatile landscape. The spectre of escalating tensions and potential disruptions to oil supply has sent energy prices soaring, raising concerns about global economic stability. The ripple effects are being felt worldwide as nations grapple with rising inflation and the very real threat of recession. Caught in the crossfire is the United States, a long-standing ally of Israel. The Biden administration faces the unenviable task of navigating a diplomatic minefield, attempting to balance its commitment to Israel's security with the urgent need to prevent a wider conflict that could have catastrophic consequences. The situation is a delicate balancing act, with each move scrutinized and every word weighed carefully for its potential impact on this volatile situation. Within Ukraine, the conflict has ignited a fierce debate, splitting the nation into two camps. Some see negotiation as the only way out, while others believe laying down arms is surrender. The Hawks argue that any compromise with Russia would betray sacrifices made. They point to atrocities, the annexation of Crimea and support for separatists. For them, the fight is existential, against an aggressor determined to erase their nation. They draw inspiration from ordinary Ukrainians defending their homes. Others believe the path to peace must be explored despite the sacrifices. The human cost of continued conflict is too high. They see the devastation and question if victory is worth the price. For them, negotiation represents a glimmer of hope in a sea of despair. Adding to Ukraine's turmoil is a sense of betrayal by the West. The promise of NATO membership now rings hollow. The West has provided aid and sanctions but stopped short of direct intervention. This hesitancy has left Ukraine feeling abandoned. The West's reluctance stems from complex geopolitical calculations. Fear of provoking nuclear-armed Russia is palpable. Economic concerns, especially in Europe, also play a role. Ukrainians feel the West has failed to live up to its promises. Internal divisions within the West complicate the situation. Differing views on how best to support Ukraine persist. Some advocate for a strong military response, others favor diplomacy and dialogue. This lack of unity emboldens Russia and prolongs Ukraine's suffering. The West's response has fallen short of altering the conflict. Until the West speaks with one voice, peace will remain elusive. As if the situation in Ukraine were not dire enough, the Middle East has emerged as another flashpoint, threatening to ignite a regional conflagration. Iran's recent missile strikes against Israel, a calculated escalation in an already volatile region, have sent shockwaves through the international community. The attacks, which targeted key Israeli military and intelligence installations, were a clear message from Tehran that it will not stand idly by as Israel continues its shadow war against Iranian interests in the region. The strikes, while causing limited physical damage, have shattered the illusion of Israeli invulnerability, exposing the limitations of its vaunted Iron Dome defense system. They have also served as a stark reminder of Iran's growing military capabilities and its willingness to use them to defend its interests, even at the risk of sparking a wider conflict. Iran's audacious strikes on Israeli targets sent shockwaves far beyond the Middle East, reverberating through the interconnected global energy market. The audacious attack served as a potent reminder of Iran's ability to disrupt the delicate balance of oil supply and demand, sending a tremor through the global energy chessboard. With each barrel of oil traded, whispers of uncertainty and fear echoed through the energy exchanges, a stark reminder of the volatile world we live in. The immediate impact was undeniable. Oil prices, already on an upward trajectory due to the conflict in Ukraine and resurgent global demand, surged to multi-year highs. Traders, jittery and apprehensive, watched with bated breath as each headline from the region further fueled the flames of uncertainty. The delicate equilibrium of the global energy market, already strained by geopolitical tensions and supply chain disruptions, teetered on the brink. For the average citizen, the consequences were immediate and tangible. At petrol stations around the world, the price displayed on the pump seemed to climb higher with each passing day. The cost of filling up a car, once a mundane aspect of daily life, became a source of anxiety and frustration. For businesses, the rising cost of fuel translated into higher operating expenses, squeezing profit margins and threatening economic stability. The spectre of inflation, once a distant threat, loomed large, casting a long shadow over the global economy. Central banks, caught between a rock and a hard place, faced the unenviable task of taming inflation without stifling economic growth. The world watched, holding its breath, as the crisis in the Middle East threatened to push the global economy into a tailspin. How does the US play into this? The sudden eruption of violence in the Middle East thrust the United States into a familiar yet precarious position, that of mediator and peacekeeper in a region riven by historical grievances and simmering tensions. The Biden administration, already grappling with the fallout from the conflict in Ukraine, faced the daunting task of navigating a diplomatic minefield, seeking to de-escalate the situation while reassuring allies and deterring further aggression. Behind closed doors, frantic diplomatic efforts were underway. Phone lines buzzed with urgency as world leaders engaged in a delicate dance of diplomacy, urging restraint and seeking a path towards dialogue. The stakes were incredibly high. A miscalculation, a misspoken word, could have disastrous consequences, potentially igniting a wider conflagration with global ramifications. The United States, while reaffirming its unwavering commitment to Israel's security, also recognized the need to prevent the situation from spiraling out of control. Military options, while always on the table, were viewed as a last resort, fraught with risk and potentially counterproductive. The focus instead was on diplomacy, on finding a peaceful resolution that addressed the underlying issues fueling the conflict. The world watched with a mixture of anxiety and hope, understanding that the path ahead was fraught with peril. The situation remained fluid, a delicate balancing act that required a deft touch and a cool head. The fate of the Middle East and perhaps the world hung in the balance. The US faces a dilemma. While supporting Israel is a key priority, preventing an escalation is equally crucial, particularly to avoid surging oil prices. Yi-Jing teaches, trapped by thorns, one must find a way through without causing further harm. US decisions now carry enormous weight, affecting the delicate balance in the Middle East. Where might this lead? A looming threat to global stability. As the crisis in the Middle East unfolded, a chilling term began to creep into the lexicon of economists and policymakers: stagflation. This dreaded economic phenomenon, characterized by stagnant economic growth coupled with high inflation, had haunted the global economy in the 1970s, leaving a legacy of economic hardship and social unrest. Now, decades later, the spectre of stagflation was back, casting a long shadow over the global economic outlook. The confluence of events, the war in Ukraine, supply chain disruptions, and now the escalating tensions in the Middle East had created a perfect storm, pushing the global economy towards the brink of stagflation. Rising energy prices, a direct result of geopolitical instability, were fueling inflation, eroding consumer purchasing power, and squeezing business profits. Central banks, tasked with maintaining price stability, found themselves in an unenviable position, caught between a rock and a hard place. Raising interest rates, the traditional tool used to combat inflation, risked choking off economic growth, potentially tipping the economy into recession. Keeping interest rates low, on the other hand, risked allowing inflation to spiral out of control, eroding savings and undermining confidence in the currency. It was a delicate balancing act with no easy answers. The world watched nervously, hoping for the best but bracing for the worst. The economic outlook remained uncertain, clouded by geopolitical risks and the spectre of stagflation. The coming months would be crucial, a test of resilience and a reminder that the global economy, for all its interconnectedness, remained a fragile and unpredictable beast. What is Ukraine's darkest hour? As the world grappled with the unfolding crises, the people of Ukraine continued to endure the unimaginable. Their once peaceful nation, now scarred by war and riven by conflict, seemed a world away from the global stage where their fate was being debated. Yet, amidst the rubble and the ruins, the human spirit flickered, a testament to their resilience and their unwavering hope for a better tomorrow. In bomb shelters and makeshift hospitals, in homes shattered by shelling and streets eerily silent, life went on. The Ukrainian people, though weary and burdened by loss, refused to be defined by the conflict that had engulfed their lives. They found solace in small acts of kindness, in the bonds of community, and in the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, hope could still bloom. Stories of courage and compassion emerged from the ashes. Soldiers, risking their lives to defend their homeland, still found time for tenderness, sharing precious moments with loved ones via grainy video calls. Doctors and nurses, working tirelessly in overwhelmed hospitals, clung to the faintest flicker of life, their dedication a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. And through it all, the Ukrainian people clung to the belief that one day peace would return to their land. They dreamed of rebuilding their shattered lives, of a future where their children could grow up free from fear. Their spirit, unbroken, served as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable adversity, the human spirit could endure. Amidst the escalating tensions and the ever-present threat of a wider conflict, a faint glimmer of hope emerged from the cauldron of the Middle East. Whispers of a potential ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon began to circulate, offering a tantalizing possibility of a reprieve from the relentless cycle of violence. Though fragile and far from certain, this glimmer of hope sent a ripple of cautious optimism through the region, weary from years of turmoil. Behind the scenes, diplomatic channels often operating in the shadows sprang to life. Mediators, their efforts shrouded in secrecy, worked tirelessly to bridge the divides, seeking common ground between adversaries who had long viewed each other with suspicion and distrust. Each concession, each carefully worded statement, represented a step towards a cessation of hostilities, a chance to break free from the shackles of the past. For the people of Lebanon, caught in the crossfire of a conflict not of their own making, the prospect of a ceasefire brought a sense of relief, however tentative. The constant fear of airstrikes, the scramble for safety in underground bunkers, the ever-present threat of violence, these had become all too familiar, casting a dark cloud over their daily lives. The possibility of a return to normalcy, however distant it might seem, offered a glimmer of hope in a region starved for peace. Yet even amidst these whispers of peace, skepticism lingered. Too many times before, hope had flickered brightly only to be extinguished by the flames of renewed conflict. The scars of past betrayals ran deep, a constant reminder of the fragility of peace in a region riven by ancient rivalries and competing agendas. The Japanese yen, once a symbol of stability, was in freefall against the US dollar. Emergency meetings in Tokyo sought solutions to restore confidence in the yen. The Bank of Japan faced a complex challenge, with traditional policy tools proving inadequate. The 2024 US presidential election loomed with global implications. Investors watched closely, anticipating potential shifts in trade and currency valuations. The election's outcome could either heighten geopolitical tensions or foster cooperation. Ukraine endured a grinding war of attrition, with millions displaced. The international community remained divided on how to end the bloodshed. Winter brought new suffering to war-torn Ukraine, with power outages and cold-related illnesses. International aid struggled to reach those in need amidst the ongoing conflict. The war's relentless pressure began to divide Ukraine internally. The debate over resistance versus negotiation polarized the nation. Ukraine became a focal point in global geopolitics, with the US and NATO cautious of direct intervention. Russia viewed the conflict as an existential struggle, while China watched with interest. The war in Ukraine echoed past conflicts, reminding the world of the fragility of peace. The choices made now would determine the future of global security. Global attention on Ukraine's plight began to waver, replaced by other crises. The sense of abandonment added to the nation's suffering. The world faced a moral reckoning on its responsibility to intervene in Ukraine. The choices made would have profound implications for international relations. The war in Ukraine reminded the world of the cyclical nature of history's conflicts. Inaction had a price, and the lessons of the past held the key to preventing future tragedies. Despite the bleakness, hope persisted in Ukraine through acts of courage and resilience. Diplomatic efforts continued in search of a negotiated settlement for lasting peace. Is there a way forward? Ukraine, a nation forged in resilience, stands at a crossroads, facing an uncertain future. Each decision carries the weight of a nation's destiny. The world watches as Ukraine's choices shape the geopolitical landscape. The clamor of war pushes a nation towards extremes. The doves plead for peace, seeing negotiation as the only path forward. The fate of Ukraine lies in the hands of its resilient people. Their choice will be a testament to a nation that refused to be broken. What lessons can we learn from these conflicts? Echoes of conflict, whispers of peace. The war in Ukraine serves as a stark reminder that we live in a world where the echoes of past conflicts still reverberate. The pursuit of peace remains an elusive goal. The world is grappling with a confluence of crises. Yet, amidst the darkness, a flicker of hope persists. The human spirit still yearns for peace, to seek dialogue instead of destruction, to build bridges instead of walls. It will require courage, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to diplomacy. We must challenge the forces of division and hatred. The fate of the world depends on the choices we make today. To put it simply, we have witnessed that it is not only feasible to combine ancient Eastern wisdom with modern financial strategies, but it is also possible. This is a revolutionary invention. From embracing change to finding a balance between empathy and determination, this perspective on business management is refreshing thanks to these principles. Therefore, let's stay optimistic. These timeless and timely strategies can help businesses thrive. The importance of balance and smart strategy cannot be overstated. The key is to find the perfect spot and maintain agility, just like a tightrope walker with a safety net. To navigate the future economy, it is crucial to adopt careful and smart strategies that emphasize balance and adaptability. The current global market situation is not a simple matter. It has both favorable and unfavorable factors, as well as opportunities and risks. The environmental resources of each region on Earth are unique due to their differing latitudes and longitudes. We can summarize real-time opinions using artificial intelligence operations, such as neural networks, that take into account. By watching our videos every week, you can keep yourself informed with a wealth of information that will improve the quality of your life in many ways with minimal time investment. In order to survive in these volatile financial environments, it is crucial to be able to adjust and avoid increased risk. Regardless of how experienced you are in investing, it's crucial to keep an eye on our video debuts to make better decisions. It's crucial to remember that knowledge is not just a tool to enhance your value, it's also a power. If you have any topics you're interested in, feel free to leave a message. To conclude this episode, I want to express my gratitude to all the viewers for their support. If you find that today's video is helpful, please like it so that you can easily find it later when you need to watch it. I want to express my gratitude for your attention. Thank you.